A young woman inherited a porcelain doll from her grandmother, who had always kept it locked in a glass cabinet. The doll had an unsettling gaze and a delicate dress that seemed untouched by time. Ignoring warnings from her grandmother's cryptic letters, the woman placed the doll on a shelf in her bedroom. That night she awoke to a faint giggle and the sound of something tapping against her wooden floor. The doll, which she had carefully propped upright, was now sitting on the edge of the shelf, its head tilted as if watching her. She brushed it off as her imagination or a trick of gravity. But over the following weeks, strange occurrences intensified. Items in her room would move on their own, and she often found the doll in different positions. One morning, she awoke to find the doll sitting on her pillow, its painted lips curved into a slight smirk she swore wasn't there before. When she finally decided to lock it away, she heard scratching sounds coming from the box late at night. Terrified, she threw the doll into a nearby river, but even after it was gone, she felt its presence lingering, like it was watching, waiting for the right moment to return. A retired school teacher prided herself on her extensive doll collection. She kept them in a special room, each displayed in pristine condition. One night she invited her niece to stay over, and the young girl couldn't resist sneaking into the doll room despite being warned to stay out. Hours later, the niece ran to her aunt in tears, claiming the dolls were whispering. The aunt reassured her it was just her imagination, but when she returned to the doll room, she noticed something odd. One doll, a vintage rag doll she'd recently purchased, was lying on the floor, its head turned toward the door. The following nights grew darker. The collector began hearing faint murmurs coming from the room, like multiple voices speaking in unison. One night, she awoke to find the rag doll in her bedroom, sitting on her nightstand, staring directly at her. She hadn't moved it. Unable to bear the growing terror, she tried to sell the collection. But every time she packed the rag doll away, it reappeared in the house. Eventually, she burned it, only to find ashes scattered across the doll room floor the next day. A family bought an antique doll at a flea market, charmed by its hand-stitched dress and lifelike features. The youngest daughter, Lily, immediately claimed it as her favorite toy, carrying it everywhere. But soon, she began telling her parents that the doll didn't like being left alone. At first, they laughed it off, until the parents started noticing odd things. The doll's eyes, which were painted open, seemed to close when no one was watching. They'd return to the room to find its head turned slightly, as if it had been following their movements. One evening, while tucking Lily into bed, the father felt an icy chill in the room. As he turned off the lights, he swore he saw the doll blink. The next morning, Lily refused to go near it, saying the doll had whispered to her in the night, warning her not to leave it behind. The family tried to throw the doll away, but it kept reappearing, sitting on the living room couch or the kitchen table, its unblinking gaze fixed on them. Desperate, they took it back to the flea market, only to be told the stall owner had never seen the doll before.